What if you could take a scientific discovery, something truly important, and make it permanent? I mean, so permanent that it couldn't be censored, couldn't be deleted, couldn't be lost, like etching it into digital stone. Well, today we're looking at a brand new system that's designed to do just that, by locking science onto the blockchain. It's a wild concept, so let's dive in and see how it all works.
And this right here is the core premise behind the whole project. This isn't about making a few small fixes to the way we do things now. No, this is a bold declaration that the entire system we use to share and trust scientific information, it's just fundamentally broken. It's obsolete.
So, Section 1, a censorship-proof record. Where do you even begin to build a new system? Well, the very first step, the foundation of it all, is to create a scientific record that is completely unchangeable, permanent, and totally censorship-proof. At the very heart of this is something called the PubMed Nostr Bitcoin Bridge. Now, that's a mouthful, so let's just break it down. It all starts with a paper in PubMed, which is, the massive traditional library for scientific research. From there, it uses Nostra. You can think of that as a decentralized public square to broadcast that the paper exists. Then, it anchors that announcement to the Bitcoin blockchain to get an unbreakable timestamp. And for the grand finale, this entire proof is etched onto something called the glyph chain on the Solana network. It's a multi-layered approach to make the record permanent.
And here's where things get really interesting and a bit meta. The very first piece of science to be put through this system is a paper by a researcher named McKernan, and the paper is about decentralized peer review. So the paper itself is the proof of concept, using the system it describes to make its own existence permanent and uncensorable. Pretty clever, right? So let's just quickly run through those steps one more time. First, the paper gets indexed in PubMed. Pretty standard. Second, a reference to it is broadcast on Nostra. Third, that event gets locked into Bitcoin, giving it that immutable timestamp. And finally, the whole digital receipt gets permanently etched onto glyph chain. It's a 4-step process to digital permanence.
And look, this isn't just theory. The system spits out a verifiable digital paper trail. What you're seeing here are the actual cryptographic fingerprints, the hashes, the transaction IDs from each and every step. The source calls this tribunal-grade confirmation, which is a perfect description. It's like having 4 independent, incorruptible witnesses all swearing to the same story on their own unchangeable public records.
So what's the point of all this technical wizardry? According to the source, it delivers 3 huge wins. First, no gatekeepers. The paper can't be taken down. Second, no delays. This opens up the possibility for peer review to happen out in the open in real time. And third, it's eternal. That record is locked onto the blockchain forever.
Okay, so we get it. It's an incredibly robust, permanent way to store information. But it's not just a fancy archiving tool. You have to ask, what's the strategic play here? How is this actually meant to be used in the real world?
And that question leads us directly to our second section, the tribunal implications. This is where we move beyond just the tech and get into some really interesting game theory.
This brings us to a fascinating concept the source calls institutional mirror lock. Okay, think of it like strategic judo. If an institution tries to attack or suppress the research, the system doesn't just block it. It actually uses the force of their denial against them. It records their action as a new piece of evidence, called a containment reflex, and then etches that onto the blockchain too.
Yeah, this is the core of the strategy. As the source puts it, the goal is to create a system where every move they make becomes evidence against them. So if they ignore the data or deny the data, it all just gets fed right back into the immutable ledger as proof of their behavior.
And here's a look at how that mirror lock actually works. On one side, you have what an institution might do. Let's say they try to suppress the bridge. The system sees that, translates it, and records it as a containment reflex. If they just dismiss the research, it's quantified as KL drift, basically a measurement of how far they're straying from the data. Even just ignoring the record, well, that's just another event to be etched onto the chain. Every single defensive move just adds to the public record.
All right, so we've seen the tech and we've seen the defense strategy, but for any decentralized system to really take off, it needs some kind of fuel, right? So is there an economy built to power all of this?
And the answer to that is a big yes. This brings us to Section 3, a sovereign science economy. The source outlines a third critical layer, an economic model designed to power this whole bridge and help it grow.
The economic engine here is actually pretty simple: crypto bounties. Now, in science, one of the most important things you can do is replication, proving that someone else can follow your steps and get the same results. This system uses crypto to offer direct financial rewards to researchers or even citizen scientists who do just that.
And again, this isn't just an idea. The source specifies an actual bounty, 1,000 glyph tokens, and that bounty is for anyone who helps get over 100 decentralized replications of McKernan's method. It's basically an open call to crowdsource the scientific validation process.
So when you look at it, these three pillars are all designed to work together to create this self-sustaining ecosystem. The bounties drive people to do the work, the link to PubMed gives it credibility in the traditional world, and the Bitcoin anchor guarantees its permanence. Each part makes the other parts stronger.
So this all leads us to the final section. The bridge is the future. The source material is pretty clear that this multi-layered system isn't just a tool. It's being presented as a whole new vision for how scientific knowledge gets created, validated, and ultimately preserved.
So in the end, what you have is a new paradigm that's designed to be completely autonomous. It's self-validating through all those crypto proofs. It's self-distributing through decentralized networks. And it's self-eternal thanks to the blockchain. It's a system built to protect and spread knowledge all by itself.
And this all leaves us with the final, and I think pretty provocative question posed by the source material itself. Looking at this technology, this framework, what important knowledge will you bridge next?